I did my first speech here in the first year of GIBS's existence. And on the wall painted outside as I was doing the presentation was, Ketso would even sell his mother. Because I was working in the city at the time and we were privatizing some of the city's assets. And then the demonstrators came into the thing and Nick had to deal with them. And so I was expecting something similar this time, except like the CEOs demonstrating.
Either they've changed or you've changed or something's changed.
Quite often we get into the detail of what's happening and what people are doing, whereas what informs certainly PPC and me as a person is the context in which we live. And we talk about the inequality and we talk about these things and they just have become like very distant phrases. So I have 2 slides here. There's some copies if anybody ever wants to sort of take one with you. This one you don't even have to be able to see the detail, but it's basically a description of income distribution by decile. And what it basically shows is that over the last 15, 16 years, the top 10%, in which I'm assuming most of us fall, our share of the income has basically gone from about 58 to about 62% of the total income pie in South Africa. At the bottom end, it has basically stayed roughly the same. You'll see that the bars don't shift much. And the shift has only actually stayed flat between those 15, 16, in that 15, 16-year period, because what would have been a real decline has been compensated for by social grants. So the bottom 40% of the population combined has 4% without social grants, 7% with social grants. So 3% of our of the thing comes really from us indirectly, effectively paying taxes, and that allows government to transfer some of that income to the bottom 40%. But that tells you that it's an unsustainable story. We've had this for 15, 18 years. It's getting worse. It's actually not getting any better. My second slide, a really crucial slide to understand, because what we introduced back in 2011 for the first time in South Africa's history in terms of the education system was an annual assessment, which was written by grade 3s, 6s, and 9s, the same test for every grade 3 across the country. So we were able to, for the first time, to get a real assessment of how good or how bad things were. And previous assessments were based on a limited number of kids being tested, and then you sort of assume that that's the picture for the country. Now we had the real picture, because the all million kids in grade 3 and all million kids in grade 6 have written these tests. And what it basically shows is that the average pass rate is 30%. Okay, I can give you all the details, but the average pass rate is 30%. So if you take 1 million kids, do the maths with me, 30% of them pass grade 3 literacy and numeracy. By the time those million kids get to matric, half of them have dropped out. Okay, so only 500,000 are writing, and 70% of that group of 500,000 pass, which is the same 30% that passed in grade 3. So grade 3 is the strongest indicator in an education system anywhere in the world of who will make it in life. If you can't read, write, and count by the time you've completed grade 3, you are not going to make it. So the reason I like presenting these 2 pictures together, it's telling you that the income story is not going to change, because the education story is certainly not changing. In fact, it's getting a little bit worse. Spark Schools, which is a seriously impressive innovation, which is an affordable schooling system that's being set up, where kids pay 1,000 rands a month and get a serious quality education. And in Spark Schools, the grade 2 kids wrote the grade 3 ANA test, and we had a 55% pass rate. Am I right? And if we can begin to replicate that across the system, the job I did in the President's office when I was last there in 2009 was setting targets for each minister. And the grade 3 target that we set for the Minister of Education was, over the 5 years that she was running education, to move it from 30 to 60. And it has gone from 30 to 30. So hopefully I've depressed you enough now. But that's the reason we can't have a debate which is only about policy and long-term solutions, because it's going to take 1 to 2 generations to fix this stuff. Not going to happen overnight. Even if we fix education now and assume that from tomorrow every kid that goes into grade 1 is going to do better, it's still another 15 years away before they come out of the system and can have some sort of impact on income in their families. Because the long-term solution, all of us know, is income. I mean, is education, which will eventually improve income.